the ultimate guide to fireball rocket balloons. But before we start this video, I wanted to say that this is going to be my last video for around the next 5 to 6 weeks or so, because I'll be traveling. So if there's any other kind of videos or ideas you want to see when I get back, make sure to write them down in the comments. But let's not waste any time and get straight into this video. Now this video will be teaching you how to play the army fireball into rocket balloons, and we're going to be having 7 different example bases to teach you how to tackle all the different base tiles and problems you may encounter with this army. Now some people might say that this army is really difficult to learn, really high skill, or requires a lot of concentration. But the tips and tricks I'll give you in this video will make sure that it'll actually be pretty easy to keep track of whatever you need to do in this attack, and will make it relatively a lot easier than you might think. Now before we get into the first base, just looking at the army rather quickly, this is a pretty standard fireball into rocket balloon army with the angry jelly and fireball on the warden. In the clan castle, you might note that I used 3 yetis. Some people prefer to use the super minions, but the approach that I'm going to be teaching you is going to be using either the battle blimp or the flame flinger. Meanwhile, if you use the super minions, you might have to use the flame flinger or the siege barracks. And the siege barracks might be sometimes a little bit weaker at times, especially as it's not really used in hard mode, so the Yeti version is generally a bit stronger. Now one final thing, the equipments on the Archer Queen. Some people try to do like the giant with the magic mirror, and even like doing some druids to heal the queen up and some fancy stuff. But we're just going to be sticking to classic stuff because I think it's pretty good and pretty simple to learn. So now let's start planning on the first base. And here we have the first base. But before we start planning on it, I want to show you the fireball radiuses on your screen over here. In case you didn't know them, it's pretty important, especially as this is a fireball army. Now you might have probably seen my video, Archer Queen's range and fireball radius. And in case you didn't, you should know about that, because those are 2 pretty important things if you're going to be playing those more high-skilled armies. But now let's start planning the attack. And the first thing you want to do is pick the fireball target. And I would say this monolith right over here is a pretty good target for a fireball, because you're going to destroy the entire core just like that pretty much. Of course, you leave up the town hall. I don't know if this inferno will get taken out. I can count, but it doesn't really matter for the space right now. Now where are we going to start the warden walk? Well, of course you want to start the warden walk in an area where there isn't too much damage. So stuff like the town hall, enemy heroes should be best avoided if possible, and like just too much damage in an area. So I think if we start the warden around here with the angry jelly, he'll be in a pretty decent spot, and then we can of course use invisibilities to play the fireball into the core, because really a ricochet cannon and an X-bow can't really do too much. Now after this, where do we want to move the warden? Well, of course we want to move him somewhere where there isn't too much damage. If we move him down here, he's going to be completely wrecked by the minion prince, the new merged cannon, multi-archer tower, inferno, all that stuff. Which is why we have 4 balloons in this army to pull the warden towards this top side where there isn't really so much damage. Now, as the warden takes care of that, and once he gets to that side, this is where the Yeti blimp becomes super useful, because we can play it right into this section to clear this compartment. It's a pretty high damage compartment, so if we can just clear it with a blimp, that'll be great for our hero follow-up. Now, how can we play the king and queen Sui to maximize their value? So I think we can play the king into this compartment with the X-bow and the ricochet cannon, and then the queen can be kind of around the outside to kind of funnel him in and just take out those outside trash buildings. And then once he reaches like the ricochet cannon or something, he can pop his ability with the earthquake boots, the spiky ball, and you should open like a bunch of walls here, which is going to be helping the queen rejoin. And we can maybe even get the queen towards the town hall to take like 1 shot at it or something. This army has like 1 baby dragon and 2 Valkyries, which can also be used for funneling. So funneling's pretty easy with this army, and that works out nicely. Now, That means the heroes would take out like this area, and then everything should converge on this top side area. We still have the Royal Champion left. You can usually use the Royal Champion as like backhand support wherever she's needed to help like either the King and Queen or the Warden, whoever's struggling, and also rocket balloons just to support for the backend. So that should be the plan for the space, and now let's start the attack on it. Okay, and now we're into the first attack, and I'm actually going to be doing a voiceover over the attack so I can explain to you everything that I was thinking, and hopefully then I'll be able to explain everything better. But here's the first attack over here, and we start off the Warden Walk just like normal. Maybe I should have angled him a bit more towards the top side, because now he might go a bit towards the multi-archer tower, which isn't the best, but it's still okay. I mean, it's not bad really. Now we're just waiting a little bit. Rage spell, because Expo plus merge defense, at least in hard mode that requires a rage spell. Maybe in normal mode just needs a freeze or rocket balloon, but it's okay, rage spell's not bad. Now notice at the start of the attack I used one rocket balloon to test. First of all, it tests for Tesla's traps like that. First you see this fireball. And that rocket balloon at the start, it also tests for air traps. Okay, see now we pull the Warden over. So basically that rocket balloon at the start is really important because it tests both for seeking air mines and Teslas that might bait a Warden Walk. So it does pretty good, and rocket balloons are kind of quick. And if we used one of the regular balloons, then we won't be able to pull the Warden over with them. So, I mean, it's just better like this. Now minions here to help deal with the ground skeletons. Now one trick actually that you should be aware of is that often it's better to not use Valkyries to deal with ground skeletons because they might steal the healers from the Warden, which isn't good. I also notice the Yeti blimp going on over here. But yeah, minions are probably better to deal with ground skeletons if you have the option. Now here we just have the king starting to work on his own, queen helping set the funnel, one ice golem also just to tank for the queen a bit, one more rocket balloon to test for traps. But now it's important to know that, you know, the Warden isn't really going to be under too much fire, so you don't really have to pay attention to him too much. You can stay away from it. If you feel like it, you can. Here now I just did whatever with the wall break. I thought maybe it'll help the king get out. It's like, okay, I'll just do the king ability, okay, whatever. King and queen are moving through. And the base is pretty much gone. See, we took it apart step by step. Of course, the next ones should be a little bit more challenging, perhaps. But this base is pretty much gone. Royal Champion, I was like, okay, I'll center for the Town Hall, actually. That's just pretty simple. And we have so many rocket balloons to finish off. This attack is completely crushed. And yeah, you can just watch the swarm before we go on to the next one. And now we have the second base over here. And you might think that this base would get easily destroyed because it gives a lot of fireball value and looks very compact. But actually, this base has given a lot of trouble to many fireball rocket balloon players, and the attacks on it were often very, very close in the past. But let's see if we can figure out a plan to beat it. So I think, first of all, we have to start with the Warden Walk. Somewhere where there isn't too much damage. Maybe we could start the Warden somewhere around here. Now, of course, there is a queen, a ricochet cannon, some expos, but where do we want to hit the fireball, of course? Because everywhere there's a lot of damage on this base, which can be a little bit annoying. Maybe if we like avoid that and go for a Warden Walk around here, because here the damage is going to be a little bit less. And then we can try to like hit the monolith with the fireball, because that would hit the clan castle and the submerged cannon, so that would be pretty good. And then we can move the Warden over to this side. And it'll be a little bit dangerous with the enemy queen and the ground expo, the ricochet cannon, but as long as we freeze the queen and the ricochet cannon, we should be okay. Now, what else for the follow-up? Well, then we could place like the queen here to snipe the scatter shot and then move in with the king over here. And then what more can we do? We still have our siege machine, for example the blimp and the royal champion to use. There isn't really much flame flinker value on the space, so we don't want to use that. Maybe we could use like a blimp over here just to take out this back end compartment. And then the royal champion could be added wherever support is needed, like here maybe, or with the warden wherever, and rocket balloons just to help support and reinforce. So yeah, let's try out this plan and we'll see how it goes. And now we have the first attack over here, and let's start the warden off just like we planned. One rocket balloon to test. Oop, there are some black mines, so we have to be a little bit careful. One more rocket balloon since I saw some traps. And okay, hopefully that area should be pretty clear now. And let's just start the warden as he slowly moves through the area. Now, I thought about using a rage over here, but I was like, it looks like the warden's just surviving through the damage and there won't be anything else that he's going to face, so I think he's going to be okay. Now, the rage could be good or bad, because sometimes it'll make the warden take out more buildings than necessary, which would make the fireball difficult. But in this case, I realized, oh, I think if he took out a bit more value, it would have been easier, because now I can't really fireball with 3 invisibilities. So I waited a bit, just seeing what he would do, maybe if he'll take out a building or 2. And okay, he locked onto this expo, and I knew then once he locked onto that expo, I could place 3 invisibilities to get the monolith. So 1, 2, 3, quick, we don't have much time. And we got it. Okay, that was a bit close. Now he faced the queen. I quickly have to freeze. If you face an enemy hero, freezes are pretty important, I think. You need freezes to fight them. And yeah. Now, in terms of the start of the attack, if your warden gets into a little bit of trouble, like during the initial warden walk, it's better to use freezes than invisibilities to save him, because the invisibilities are needed for the fireball, so it would be preferable if you used a freeze and a rage or something like that. Now we see the warden moving through. He's okay through the cannon, and then a start of the queen to get the minion prince. Now, I don't know if this was the best decision with the hero Sui, because the queen kind of got destroyed by the multi-archer tower, which wasn't great. The king got okay value. Now again, we noticed that the warden's going to be coming under a lot of fire, so I raised him up. It's important with a strategy to try and see in the future. Is my warden closing in on some big value? Because a lot of high value defenses and stuff that deal damage, and if he is, then you should pay attention to rage him up. But now, okay, I played the Yeti Blimp, the Royal Champion, and now as you saw, the plan was pretty good. The base was taken apart piece by piece, and now, see, it got completely overkilled. The Royal Champion helped to support the King and Queen, even though they didn't get the most value, and everything comes together, and it's a nice 3-star. And now we have the third base over here. And this is going to be a double rage kind of base. Now, of course, we're going to have all different kinds of bases over here in this video. And this is going to be the next one. Now remember, the idea, we want to start with a warden walk somewhere where there isn't too much damage. And this can be a little bit difficult with a rage tower base, because you want to fireball the rage towers, but you don't want to face too much damage and get your warden killed. Remember, it's really important to keep your warden alive throughout the attack, because if he goes down, it can be a little bit harder to recover. You can still 3-star, but it won't be as smooth. So you want to keep your warden alive the whole time. Now I see this area looks pretty good for a warden walk. The reason is there isn't too much damage. Like, this area has enemy heroes, some big defenses. These areas are single inferno towers, which are actually okay, but I feel like with the angry jelly, the warden's gonna dive deeper, get into the rage tower, and be in some big trouble. And we want to just fireball the rage tower from farther away. So I think what we want to do is start the warden off around here. Move away. Start him off around here. He'll get some buildings with the angry jelly, like these kind of buildings. And then where do we want to hit the fireball? We can hit it at the Rage Tower if we get an opportune moment. We can also hit it at the Fire Spitter. Actually, the Fire Spitter would be pretty good because it would get the Monolith. Or even the Multi-Archer Tower is good because it would get the Clan Castle as well. So actually hitting the Multi-Archer Tower would probably be a pretty good and safe option. Remember, sometimes simpler plans with less value that are safer are a better option to go for because less can go wrong. So that's pretty good. So say we decide to hit it, or if we end up going for more value, it doesn't really make a difference. We want the Warden to keep going here because we would have cleared out the path for him. And again, the single Inferno might be a little dangerous, but we can use some rocket balloons to help him out, and maybe one free spell if necessary. Now, where are the heroes going to go from? There's obviously the big town hall area, which we want to take out. We can also start them around this bottom side, which is not really bad. It's okay. I guess it's a clear path, so that should be good because clear pathing is good. We'll send the king and queen together from there. Maybe rocket balloons to take out the single Inferno. Again, rocket balloons, if you can use them for support to create good pathing, stuff like that, they'll get a lot of value and that'll be great. And then all we'll have left is this area, which is kind of heavy and a little bit scary, but I think since we would have taken good care of our king, queen and warden, they would converse together, and we'll always have the royal champion as extra backup for the back end to help take out like these defenses around here and whatever rocket balloons we have left over. Oh, and we're also going to have a battle blimp, which could be extra support. We could even switch to a siege barracks. Or even a flame flinker actually. You know, you can place a flame flinker, it would get out those topside defenses. So yeah, however much value it gets, I think that would be pretty good. So let's try this plan and see how it goes. Okay, we're into the attack and let's see how it goes. So first of all, test for a flame flinker with like a barbarian. I could even use Valkyries to test like one or something, but it was okay. I saw there were no traps. Now we just start with the Warden Walk with the healers and everything's all good. And now we just wait a little bit before the action gets going. Just, you know, wait, gather your thoughts and see what's going to happen. Now I saw the Warden was getting a bit close to the single Inferno, so I was thinking, what should I do for him? Well, just freeze should be okay and maybe one rocket balloon to distract. Yep, that's what I did. Now here's the interesting part. First of all, I realized this rocket balloon was maybe not the best idea because it pulled out some archers. And then I had some quick reactions because I realized the Warden was going to get in trouble. So I just did everything to save him. The ice golems were running away, but I used an archer to pull them back. And then I was like, okay, just fireball quickly and get out of trouble. And this is where experience can be a little bit helpful sometimes. This didn't really go to plan. I would have preferred a bit of a smoother fireball. So, yeah, maybe I should have done something else. Not sure. Maybe not pull the clan castle first of all. It's okay. But now, the point I have here actually is about like this attack. So see, even if things go a little bit wrong, you can still recover and it can be okay. And now we just start the king and queen sui and everything is planned. But I want to take this moment to talk to you about the other idea, which is about why pros love to play surgical attacks. Because surgical attacks like Lalo, rocket balloons and stuff, even if something goes a bit wrong or unexpected, you can always recover them, which is why they love to do them. That's why, you know, stuff like smash attacks like Super Bowlers in the past, or even like Root Riders. If you have another plan besides them, the top players would go for like that other plan because it's a lot safer. Now even with the Root Riders, you know we have the Spirit Walk into Root Riders and even the Log Launcher Kill Squad approach. Now if pros have the option to play the Log Launcher Kill Squad on a base, they would go for that because it's more surgical, more focused, and you know, you can always react with smaller troops, smaller spell adjustments if something goes wrong. So that's what makes these attacks so good and so important to learn, because even if things do go wrong, you can react and fix the attack up, which is why they have a pretty good success rate overall. And now we have the fourth base, and this is going to be another invisibility tower base. But I promise it's going to be the last one. It's just a different kind of base, so we're going to have a different plan for it, just so you can get accustomed to all the bases you might face. Now with this kind of base, we can really utilize our army to the fullest, especially as we have the log launcher to trigger invisibility towers. And you'll see what I mean in a second. Now obviously we want to go for a big fireball, which can either be over here or over here. But the idea I want to go for is to have a quick fireball over here. And even though we have the angry jelly, because of course we're doing this pretending we're in Legends League, then after the warden takes this compartment out, he can go towards either side, the left or the right. And then he won't go too deep into the core. For example, he'll just stay towards these outside defenses. And then we can have like maybe the king sent into here, the queen a little bit around the outside, or the king and queen together actually, funneling them together, that would be good. And then we can have like the log launcher towards going deep into the core to trigger the invisibility tower, get the monolith. Even the royal champion can provide support towards the log launcher to help it destroy everything. And then the king, queen and warden should be pretty healthy, moving towards their sides of the base. And then just rocket balloons for the back end, and that should be pretty good. Let's try the plan and see if we can make it. And we're into the attack now, and let's start off. Select the log launcher. Now first I'll just test with like a barbarian to see if there are any Teslas or something that might make the warden trouble. Now I'll just go for invisibilities, like just to be safe. We might not need them. We can even snipe the outer buildings with rocket balloons, but whatever. Then I'd quickly drop the test loon and the healers. I didn't want to drop the rocket balloon earlier, otherwise it would pull the clan castle, which wouldn't be great. So I just had to do that quickly, and now we're okay. The Giga Bomb will take like half the warden's health, I think. Yeah, that should be okay. If you face a Giga Bomb while the warden's like in the middle of like the attack or something, just invis him quickly. Don't let anything damage him so he can heal back up quickly. Now I saw this red air bomb, so I got a bit scared and dropped a rocket balloon. Although I think the angry jelly would have pulled a red air bomb form if there was one, but luckily it seems there wasn't. So I think it would have been okay either way. Now I just thought to see with some Valkyrie on the top side, just to clear out some trash buildings a little bit. I raised up the warden because I saw he was getting into a bit of damage. Now getting the heroes ready, and now it's pretty simple. Wall break, baby dragon to funnel, king and queen together, log launcher going through. Now I noticed earlier here that the warden's going to face a scatter shot and enemy royal champion in a little bit. So I was ready just to rage him up whenever that happens. And I'm just waiting for that. Log launcher is going through. King and queen are going through. It's all smooth. Just rage up, headhunter. I could have even froze, that would have been fine, but oh, I see now there's another Expo 2 on him, so oh well, it's okay. And now we send the royal champion in towards the core. I rage up the Yeti blimp, and I know once the royal champion gets into that raised pell, I'll pop a rocket spear with a seeking shield. Connection wall break to help the queen. Now you can sit back and relax because the base is gone. You just have some rocket balloons to take out the back end. And look how fast this is going to go down now. 3, 2, 1, go. Bam. And the base is gone. So see, nice plan, completely destroyed an invisibility base, especially with the log launcher. You can see how those Yetis and in the clan castle really help you out. And now we have the fifth base. And although all of the other bases were relatively simple and like I just got them first try and they were pretty easy, this one actually, I did try it like 2 or 3 times and a few things went wrong. So let's see if we can figure out finally a good plan on this one. So originally my first idea was to go like over here with the warden, get fireball either here or something, even here, you know, to get some like decent value around the area. But this area has some pretty high damage. The fireball wasn't super easy to deliver, and there's still like some good damage around here. Actually, I did 3-star this base with a slightly weaker plan, but we want to find the best plan for you guys to show you how to best play this army. And I think the best idea would be to come in with the Warden from around here. Because first of all, there isn't as much damage on the Warden. Here there's an Expo, Royal Champion, 2 merged defenses. Here there's a lot of damage to Minion Prince, Clan Castle, everything. But I think this area with the enemy king and the monolith is the least tapped. So it's the best to charge with the Warden. And then we can just actually hit the fireball on the monolith, and it would take out it would take out those 2 expos over here, which would be pretty good in eliminating the damage. And then once those are taken out, then we can move the Warden towards like this side. And then he shouldn't be under too much damage. There will be this ricochet cannon, and then the queen and the expo, but we can deal with that with a freeze. And then how will we deal with the hero sui part? So we can go with like queen and the king into this compartment. Queen will take the scatter shot once she's in here. And then we can even actually send a blimp into this area to deal with the clan castle and the multi-gear tower. And then the king and queen should continue towards this area. Warden will keep going. Royal Champion for back and support. Rocket balloons wherever needed. And I think this should be a pretty good plan. Let's try it out and see how it goes. Okay, now let's see how this plan is going to go. And we're into the attack. Test Loon for the Warden and the healers, and just drop them everything. Now I'll just wait at the start, be a little bit relaxed, see how everything shapes up. So Warden's just going to move through the multi-inferno, and then now he's going to face the king. And here I decided to drop a rage spell. And this, it turns out, wasn't needed. I thought the Warden would get targeted by the monolith too. But it's never a bad idea to use a rage spell just to speed the attack up in case time becomes a factor in the end. Now Warden's fighting the monolith, and I thought about fireballing, but then I was like, okay, actually I can go for a little bit more value perhaps. So I decided to hit one of the expos. So I just dropped the invisibilities like this, hit this expo. Now I didn't realize that the fire spitter got hit. It was just a quick reaction. So I didn't put the earthquake on it. So I was like, okay, fine. The Warden's going to move towards this side, the king and queen towards the other. So again, this attack's also about like adapting on the fly if anything happens. You can always change the plan up if things go better than expected. Now one more test loon for the Warden. Queen is moving through, and I'll send the king in with her. Now I made a bit of a mistake sending 2 wall breakers. I thought they would break the walls together, but I should have probably just waited on the second wall break, but it's fine. I thought about popping the king ability now, but I was like, it won't open up that many walls, so we'll just wait. Again, Warden's engaging a lot of damage, so I decide to rage him up. And then king and queen are moving, but now here the Warden suddenly faces so much damage. I try to freeze, use some rocket balloons to help, but then suddenly, oh, the Warden gets hit with a tornado, and boom, everything hits him and he's dead. So I'm like, okay, I won't invest too much more into the Warden. King ability goes off. And again, as long as you don't waste too many spells on the Warden when he goes down, things will be okay. I use the Yeti blimp. It's going to deal with that multi-gear cannon. And then Queen's moving through. Royal Champion just with some rocket balloons to support. And again, in these situations, try to delay the Royal Champion ability just a little bit, so she can get more value later on. Now I pop the Rage spell with the Royal Champion ability, Seeking Shield and Rocket Spear, and I have a few Rocket Balloons just for the back end. And as you see, this attack didn't go exactly to plan. The Warden died a bit early. But since the plan was pretty solid, the heroes got good value. Again, with a strategy, it's not like everything has to be perfect. You can recover always, and we still have the Royal Champion and the Queen left alive. So I think it's a pretty fair triple, you know. Now, if you see this base, you might go like, wow, this base is going to be destroyed. But actually, just like the second base in this video, this base gives Rocket Balloon players a lot of problems because, I don't know, they don't know what to fireball, they might go into some bait, get into too much damage, and then just everything will collapse. So let's see if we can find a good plan on the space over here. So is there a flame flinker value we can take advantage of? We can place like a flame flinker over here to take out just the single inferno, which is okay, it's not great value, but a blimp would do similarly. Where do we want to fireball now? We would like to fireball around here to get the clan castle too. I think that would be good. Now we just need to start the warden somewhere where there isn't too much damage on him. That's super important. So we can start him near the single over here, or we can start him around this area. And I kind of like him getting the monolith early and under the angry jelly. And I think the damage should be okay. And again, it's just from the bottom side, pretty easy, much easier to attack. You can place the invisibility spells nicely to get the fireball in. And I think as long as we hit the scatter shot, that should be still pretty good value. We would get a decent chunk of the core out. We don't need the whole core out. So I think that should be good enough. And then since the flame flinker is going to be, okay, warden over here. Flame flinker can be working over here. We can have the warden join up. It might be a little bit of a problem if he gets in trouble with the yetis or something. So I think we'll move the warden towards the other side, let the flame flinker do its thing, and we let the flame flinker actually set up the path for the heroes. So we can have the queen here with the king to take out this area along with the town hall, and then the royal champion should just be for the back end wherever necessary. And I think this plan looks pretty good, so let's try it out. Okay, we're into the attack. Also my iPad is on 6% or 7%, so let's see if we can finish the video before it runs out of charge. But we place the flame flinker, we place the warden. Now we just wait a bit. Now I see the warden's going to go into a bit of damage with the monolith and the ground expo, so I raise him up a little bit early. And again, I have my hands, as you see, on the freeze spell. So whenever I do a warden walk, I just swipe the spell bar so I can be with the spells, because that's really what you need to support him. Quick free spell reactions can be useful sometimes. So now the warden's just moving through. We just wait a little bit. Okay, the angry jelly wore off. He's going to get the poison tower. Now I'm going to place some rocket balloons on the bomb tower towards the right side just to snipe it off. And so I need less invisibility spells. Now once he takes, oh okay, now I see, okay, good timing. Just place the fireball, that works well. And then warden comes fighting with a multi-archer tower. Now of course you can distract the multi-archer tower beams with like balloons or rocket balloons. So that's a good tip to know sometimes in whatever attack you're playing with. Even with like root riders, you can use like a super barbarian or two to distract its beams. Now I freeze the archer queen, drop a headhunter or two, but since the warden's following the balloons, he's not gonna fight the queen, which is a bit annoying. He gets a shot off, come on warden, and again, my hands are on the freeze spell. You should have your, like, be ready with the spells always, so you can react quickly. But it works out fine, and now I have the king and queen moving. Now I drop some rocket balloons towards the single inferno on the right, towards the expo on the left. Just seeing what I can do. And now I'm mainly focusing on the king and queen because I know the warden is going to be alright. You don't really have to look at him. And then I'm thinking, okay, what's happening now? The king and queen are splitting a bit, but overall there isn't really damage on anyone, so I can just wait a little bit. And I see, okay, the bottom side has some buildings, so I'll send the royal champion there. I'll pop the king ability. Now it's just popping hero abilities so they can get that extra value, destroy whatever weak isolated defenses exist. And now the base is gone actually. The royal champion can clutch on her own. I have an extra rage spell. I don't really need it, but I drop it on the warden for fun. And the base is gone. One final attack in this video, and let's see what we'll do. Finally, one more base to plan on, and this is going to be a box base. And it's funny that this is, I think, the only box base in the video, because those are pretty common and pretty, like, there's a pretty default plan to attack them with fireball rocket balloons. So I guess you could say they're like rather simple, but we'll see what we can do. Now, of course, you want to look for a fireball target. The clan castle is pretty good. So if we can hit this, it would be good, but it's a bit deep in the core. There are too many great defenses surrounding the area. So I think what I'll do is I'll hit this multi-inferno over here. It will get the clan castle and the multi-infernos, some things over here, poison tower. And of course we can start the warden off. Okay, see, that's the charge. Right over here. And that should be good. Now where do we move the warden after that? He can go either way, actually. I mean, if he moves towards here, it's not really that bad because the damage isn't insane. And he would be getting good value. So this is kind of the idea with box bases. Maybe I can use some rocket balloons to snipe these wizard towers. And then the king and queen can run up towards this flank. This is basically how you attack any box base. And then everything will come together towards the end. Actually, king and queen can even go from like here. And then can have like just rocket balloons again over here. That should be fine. Royal champion for the back end, rocket balloons to support. And alright, I have a battle blimp too. See, this army is so OP, you don't even need everything. I guess you can just blimp the back end, like the monolith, the town hall. That should be fine. Let's try the plan and see how it does. Now we have the final attack going right over here. And of course, as this is the final attack of the video, as we're watching it, I should say that I hope you enjoyed this video and you learned a lot more about the fireball rocket balloon strategy. It did take quite a while to record this, you know, but I think it was fun and really nice to attack different kinds of bases. But now let's commentate on this final attack. See, the warden is moving nicely. There isn't really any damage on him, so that always makes things easier. You can be more relaxed during the attack. Now the warden is moving through, and now I realized he might get a bit deep and in a bit of trouble, so I might need to fireball quickly. Now I should have just fireballed the multi, but I froze invis. I guess I was being safe, so I just played the fireball, and it worked okay. So I just let the warden fight the royal champion. Now I can drag him over with some balloons. And now I can start to clear a bit of the trash buildings left by with like a Valkyrie, some minions like that. And then rocket balloons to snipe a wizard tower. Of course, as we said about the Valkyries earlier, preferably you shouldn't really use them with the warden as they might like steal the healers or something. Unless like the warden's being targeted by an expo, in which case it should be fine. Now here I kind of deviated from the plan, which I don't know if it's good or bad. But I was like, okay, there are a lot of trash buildings, so I'll just start the queen. Maybe it's good for time too. And there wasn't really any damage on her, so I think it was okay. But I let the queen just work her way through. Now I saw warden's about to come under some damage. I placed a rage spell for him. Now I got the king going with a wall break and then a baby dragon to funnel, I think. Yep, some headhunters. And it's working fine. The king and queen should come together, but actually they don't. And see, okay, that blimp was super baited, but I had some nice test loons. And then king ability going off. And you can see the base is kind of breaking apart. But here's one final important trick, which I guess if you waited all the way to the end of the video, you learned about, which is using the royal champion with the warden. And there are some bases where you kind of need to do this to save the warden. I thought, okay, he might get into too much trouble on his own. Maybe he wouldn't have, but I thought it was good. I raised the royal champion up, poisoned the minion prince, just to make sure she gets through everything. And now rocket balloons just to save the back end. And I saved like a few rocket balloons to take out that elixir storage if necessary. If time becomes an issue. I used those two actually on that Tesla. Okay, and everything comes towards the back end, and that's it. The attack is done. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see you in a few weeks, and bye-bye.